Yeah.
In the business world, you're not taught. So I have a master's in global enterprise management, and you're taught how. So during that class, you look at what the CEO does, the CFO, what the marketing director does. You look at all of the different roles, right? But nowhere are you taught how to this, they call them the soft skills, right? The compassion is a soft skill. Sorry, it's not a soft skill. It's not an easy skill. It's a hard skill, and it's something that really needs to be brought more to the forefront. And there aren't any classes around it. And you're right, Labriece. We have to read all of this stuff, and we have to analyze all of this stuff. And nowhere in a business course nowhere was that looked at. There were a couple of case studies in one of my classes in ethics where that was touched on a little bit, but it was touched on as far as, what kind of environment are you creating? One of my courses in the ethics course, actually, where we looked at the fact that, how you send an email could have some impact, like all caps, for example, is considered yelling at somebody, right? But it was like very, very, very rudimentary kinds of comments that were interspersed throughout the course that you kind of had to go and pull that information together and pull it out if you were aware.
Right.
Like I wasn't aware, however many years ago I got that degree.
And you just happened to take that ethics class. Like, think of all the people who haven't.
Yeah.
Right.
There are a few marketing classes that talk about email, but it's mostly from a sales standpoint, not from business communication standpoint. And, typically I spend quite a few hours a day doing email. I usually throw out my response and then I'm editing, and it usually takes me, if it's an easy one, it's at least 10 minutes to do the email response, sometimes 15. A more difficult one, I could spend a half an hour on my response, writing it, editing it, put it away, take it out again, because I found early on that often my communication was misread. I'm a very blunt writer. It's all out there. I have more of a, not autistic, but more of a, well, in the autism spectrum, I guess, more of an Asperger type response. Sometimes that I've kind of retrained myself. And it does take a lot of time. I'm almost to the point of maybe I should start writing down all these things I do, Rene, and we include a little course on email communication for CEO Essence.
I think that would be fantastic.
And because I've had to go through this, I've learned little tricks like after I've emailed someone, I understand that they have a different communication style than I have. I have things in certain I have some clients that I have to write only one sentence, one question at a time. If I put a second paragraph, they do not read it. Their focus is just in one place only. So I've learned with those clients, I ask, if I have 3 questions, I send them 3 emails. And it works.
That's interesting.
It's crazy. Some people you have to bullet
point.
You have to bullet point and have answer here. And I started reflecting on that. And I used to do telephone sales, telemarketing, before there was email. And we were talking, and I worked at this one company where we did dental office. We taught dentists how to run their business, basically is what we did. And I learned the different personality styles. And there were some that I could literally just call and say, we've got this new class. I know you've had a problem with ABC. This will deal with problem B. No problem. Sign right up. There was another group that certain personality style that I could tell them. I then had to say, let me know when you're ready. This one client in particular, he absolutely had to hang up. He would even call me back 1 minute later, but it had to be him making the call to me to say yes. That was his style. I just had to recognize that. Some people, they need to feel like they're in control, so fine. So I think it's the same way with business communication. Sometimes that you need to recognize that person needs a control. So set it up so they feel they're in control, and it will work perfectly. And it's a matter of just
when
kind of
I'm working with my clients, it's all about there's so much frustration. We talk about managing up, and Janet, you're just the awareness that you have about if our intention is to help people, then we have to recognize, like you have, like everybody hears needs information differently. On my down days, I might say, why doesn't somebody just try to figure out what I need? Why am I like having to figure out what everybody else needs and how to best communicate with them and how to how to not react? But
Amen.
Right. like Peter, I have such a strategy on how to communicate with you. What's your strategy for me? He's like, I don't know. It's like, exactly.
I just blurted out.
Exactly. How's that working? It's so important. I think it's so important because, and this is when I get resistance from people saying, well, why should I have to do that? I sent the email with all the information. If they don't respond, that's on them. But again, I know, but if we're trying to help, if we're trying to move things forward, if, then we have to do what Janet just said. We have to figure out how people need information.
To me, that's part of being compassionate.
Yes.
It's just a part. I guess this is the way I've always kind of lived my life too. I've always been sort of the person to try to pull things together and make communication better. The middle child in the family, that's our role. We're the bridge between the older and the younger.